Hello everybody and welcome back once again to Let's Play Crusader Kings 2, the House Fleming Dynasty. Well, last time we left off, we were in a bit of a pickle, were we not? A bit of a cliffhanger ending, as the former king, King William the Conqueror, God rest his soul, passed away at the age of 74 after reigning for a long time. The succession law of England is currently set to agnatic primogeniture, and therefore, by law and by right, the new king is his grandson, King William II. Not the best of stats for a ruler, one might suggest. Anyway, the king's eldest living son, Prince Richard of England, Duke of Flanders, thinks that he has more of a right to the throne of England, and therefore, in a faction together with Hermione of Normandy and also Count Drogo of Derby, they presented the king with an ultimatum, which he obviously declined, and now we're at civil war. It is the King of England, William II, versus Prince Richard of Flanders and his followers, or his backers. Now, first things first, the comments on the comments pages were obviously, should we join the war? Should we not join the war? What should we do? Top and bottom of it is, we can't do anything. We can't join the enemies. We can't join the king's side. We're not eligible to join any side of this war, and therefore our hands are tied. The game has made the decision for us. All we can do is sit here and observe. But even if we were to join, we just don't have the levy for it. We have 450 troops to our name. Currently, the King of England has 6,104. Far too many for us to be messing about trying to go to war against him. If you look at the combined strength of the enemy, Hermione has 2,100. Richard of Flanders, he has 1,500. So they have a combined strength of about 4,000 troops if you factor in this army here as well. So that army strength size is not going to be enough to put down the king, unless of course England starts to go into a revolting type situation with duchies and counties rising up for independence, because if that happens, then the king loses levies left, right and centre. So us, even if we could joining against the king right now would be suicidal. And even as much as George does love his family to bits, he would not risk the future of his entire family in a suicidal move. So what can we do? If we can't join the war, is there any other way we can affect the outcome of this to try and preserve ultimately our land in terms of Normandy, and also our son and our daughter-in-law's life, Ambrose and Hermione? Because if this war is lost, there is a chance that Hermione, as the backer of one of the backers of Richard of Flanders, she will be imprisoned and probably executed. And her marshal is my son, and as the head of the army, he could be imprisoned also. This is really, really trying times. So I looked at another alternative. Two, in fact. The first one, King William of England, having him effectively bumped off. If he dies, the war ends inconclusively. However, if that was to happen, his son would come to power, Prince Odo, and if he became King Odo, no doubt in my mind that Prince Richard would still want to be king, and this would all go back to square one again. So that wouldn't be very good. And then something a little bit dark and sinister crept into my mind. What about bumping off Prince Richard of Flanders? He dies, the war ends inconclusively. I don't think it would count as a defeat, and therefore Hermione and Ambrose wouldn't be imprisoned, and the king would have no right to strip them of their land. Plus, with Richard out the way, there'll be less likely an opportunity for someone to do this again. Now, of course, it could happen again with other family members of House de Normandy, but less likely, because I think at this moment in time he probably has one of the stronger claims. And with him out of the picture, there might be a bit of stability. However, after playing with it off camera, I came to the conclusion that it's just not going to happen. There are simply not enough people willing to back this plot, and therefore it would not gain enough power to be a possibility. Also, assassinating him outright with intrigue is going to cost us 350 gold pieces, which we don't have. So, looking at things as they are and analysing the situation, there is nothing that George can do to stop this civil war, and nothing he can do to assist his family. So all that is left for us to do is to sit and watch as this civil war unfolds, and just to pray somehow that our family, in terms of Ambrose and Hermione, can get Richard of Flanders on the throne. So that is exactly what we're going to do. We're going to leave it on 2 speeds so we can track exactly what's going on. Now, it's important that we don't lose sight of our own goals here. We still have 2 lands left in Wales for us to try and claim. And yes, England are pressing the claims here. They have waged war against the Duchy of Gwynedd, trying to claim it on behalf of Count Count Eustace of Chester. But however, their armies are now diverted in this civil war, so if we can get a claim here pretty swiftly, we still have a chance to get in there first. So it's important we don't take our eyes off the ball. So Count Eustace joins the lower Crown Authority faction in England. Speaking of this war, George is actually leading troops in Derby. So, yeah, pretty much against his wishes, really. He's been forced once again into dutiful service to the crown. And he's now actually actively taking part in this war, leading troops against, technically against his own son. Anyway, better take care of business closer to home. So apparently Erwin wants to duel with his rival. I think yes, why not? Someone besmirches your name, makes fun of your honour, you should duel him and get it out in the open. It's better to fight honourably than to scheme and have him murdered in some silly little plot. So we're going to allow the duel. Honour dictates it. We're also getting other factions springing up here. Prince Henry for England. Now I don't know who exactly Prince Henry is. Is he another distant relative of the crown here? Let's have a look. Who's Prince Henry? Oh, excuse me. Excuse me. And this is... I did not envisage this happening. What was I saying about the fact that we couldn't join this war? We couldn't offer to join, but we can accept a call to arms. Holy smokes. King William has been excommunicated? Oh dear. Looks like this current king is already mucking up big style. I don't know who Prince Henry is. I'm trying to... Oh, it's another one of King William's sons. It's Prince Richard's younger brother. Someone's trying to put him on the throne as well. It's got less power though. That faction is not as prominent as this one. Okay, so we have a decision to make here. We have a massive decision to make. We have been called into war by our future ally here. Don't forget, last time I betrothed my youngest son to the youngest daughter of Prince Richard. So we could be brothers in arms, technically speaking here, pretty much. But as I said, in this current situation, the king has 6,000 troops. These two have 3,500 to 4,000 troops. If I join the mix, I add an extra 500 and add an extra extra 500 troops to the mix, which is still only 4,500. Throw some mercenaries in, have those mercenaries drain my coffers for a couple of months or so, and then I have to disband them for fear of going bankrupt. Would that be enough? Oh, it's so tough. It's actually fairly close. As I say, if a couple of regions withdraw or try to fight against the king and claim independence, the king's levy size will drop from 6,000, could drop to as low as 4,000 himself. This really is 50-50 split. In fact, if I pull my troops out of... if I join the war, that'll be 500 less troops for the king pretty much as well, because I'm taking my troops away from him, so he goes down to about 5,500. Wow, it's so close. It's so close. You see, if George believed that he could win this war, he would obviously put his family first over the grandson of King William the Conqueror. But he would not risk his entire family's future if if the war was not going to be won. This decision could seriously change the entirety of this campaign. It really could. If we join this war and lose, our entire hard work that we have just done over the past 40 odd years just goes up in smoke if we lose. George will be executed pretty much. Ambrose will be executed. We'll have poor little George Jr. inheriting a decimated land. We don't because we're not strictly allies with him yet. We're not strictly allies with with Duke George. We don't lose any prestige. But does this same invitation get extended to other dukes of England? Because if it does, then as I say, a couple of extra dukes here and there joining the faction. Do you know what? It's just so tense. I'm going to take one look here at the king's vassals, the realm tree, sorry, and just see. You see, Duke Robert of York. How many? He has 11% strength. If this invitation went to him, he would probably join against the king because he doesn't like him. Duke Roger of Gloucester doesn't like the current king, so he might join. Duke Arnold of Somerset doesn't like the king. Duke William of Norfolk. All these people do not like the current king, and therefore if they got this same invitation, surely they would join. Surely they would join. Let's also go into here and see, does he have any allies that he can call? He can call the Duke of Somerset. He can call the Duke of Anjou. What does he think? Actually, he likes the king. That's bad. But anyway, carry on. Count of Surrey. Maybe I'm only getting this because I'm part of Hermione's allies. Who's she allied with? She's allied with me. Duke of Somerset. I think he would join. Duke of Flanders, Duke of Gloucester. I think he might also join as well. You know what? I think George is going to gamble. I think George is going to gamble. He's going to join this faction. He's going to pull his troops out, get them on a boat out of harm's way, because if we leave them on the land, there's a chance that they're going to get decimated by the king's forces here. And we're going to pray that our fellow dukes across the country unite under the same banner and try to put Prince Richard on the throne. And the overriding reason why George is doing this, to keep his eldest son and daughter-in-law alive. Wow, this is pivotal. We're off and running. We have joined against the king, and yes, it looks as if people are joining suit. People are joining this war against the king. Look at them all. We made the right choice. That's good to know. That's good to know. Right, what do I do now? What do I do? Raise the troops and get involved.